Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, based on your time zone. My name is Amit Chaudhary. I'm your host and the founder of the Apex Hour. Today, we have a special guest, Emily from the Mulesoft, and we are going to talk about accelerating digital transformation with the API lead. So I'm not going to take too much time here. So I will be hand over to Emily for her introduction.
Thanks, Amit. And yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm in the UK, so it's gray and rainy, very British weather here. So hopefully you're having a better day than me. Right, who am I? My name is Emily Patra. I'm the Regional Vice President in Salesforce. I head the EMEA group for Mulesoft Customer Success Strategy and Architecture. I'm also a Salesforce CTA. And I've been with Salesforce for almost 5 years now. I made the switch to Mulesoft side of the business about last year. So thank you to Apex Hours, obviously, for having me here. I'm super excited about the session that we're going to do today, and hopefully you all will get some value out of your time invested on a Saturday. Right, so we're talking about accelerating digital transformation with an API-led approach today. And today I'm going to be talking about how to keep up with the massive transformation pressures of the new business demands that we're seeing emerge by using a very unique and proven approach by Mulesoft. This has already helped thousands of our customers around the world move faster and become more agile. And this, I'm sure that you all will agree right now, is needed more than ever, especially with the ongoing situation of a pandemic and COVID-19 that we're going through. So before I start, I'm very excited to share the latest Mulesoft innovations with you, and which means that I might talk about future-looking products and services. And because future-looking statements are inherently subject to risk and uncertainty, if any one of you listening in today is basing your buying decisions, please base your decisions based on product capabilities that are available GA today, and not based on any future-looking statements that I make. So I just had to get it out of the way. Right, so to start, let's set the stage. Why are we here? We're here because we all are living in unprecedented times of tremendous global change right now. And every business across every industry is facing massive change at a pace we've never seen. More than ever, we're seeing that digital is the new imperative, and that organizations that act now can meet today's pressing digital demands and build businesses that stand the test of time. So all IT leaders are facing a great challenge, possibly their greatest challenge ever. And it is playing a central role in navigating and responding to the COVID-19 crisis around us, right? Whether it's empowering the remote workforce or hardening their critical systems or dealing with gaps in the supply chain and so on. But we also know that many of these IT leaders are not just dealing with the crisis right now, they're also looking ahead, and they see an opportunity to make an investment that allows them to build future-proof foundations that will make them stronger, more resilient, more responsive, and more efficient over time. So I'm going to offer my perspective today on how one can move quickly to address this digital imperative in a way that increases their speed, agility, and efficiency. So as you know all too well, the shift to digital is more important now more than ever, and it needs to happen very quickly. Over the past weeks and months, we've been doing a lot of listening to our customers, to our partners, our developers, and mainly within our whole ecosystem. And they've taught us a lot. While we know that each organization has its own unique challenges, across the industries, we saw three key themes emerge and what was top of mind for every IT leader out there. The first one being responsiveness. How do I quickly unlock and integrate data to deliver critical time-sensitive projects? The second one is efficiency. How can we increase speed and agility to respond faster and more efficiently? And the third one is obviously, how are we going to be resilient? What investments do I need to make to set my team and business to, set them up for success and growth? So today, in my whole presentation, I'm going to be talking about each of these three themes and how we're addressing it in terms of digital transformation and with Mulesoft as a platform. Right, so let's get started. So talking about the first theme, respond to time-sensitive and mission-critical initiatives fast. Now, for example, here, some of the real-time examples, very relevant in today's world, is healthcare. Now, healthcare providers today are figuring out how to quickly adapt to the need for virtual care, for virtual GP doctor visits, for requiring data and automation of processes, like sending automated notifications to patients, and across different, systems and apps. And then there's the retailers. They're going through a huge digital disruption right now, and they need to quickly respond to the surge in online orders, with scalable mobile apps, requiring connectivity to quickly serve and deliver providers like Uber Eats, and the scalability to provide thousands and millions and often billions of orders and transactions. And then let's look at pharmaceuticals. Now, they are working to ramp up production of COVID-19 tests. They have to move quickly from proof of concept to ramping production, and from 0 tests to millions of tests a day. And they are going through a huge digital disruption. And all these initiatives are critical. They're all time sensitive, and they all require access to data across various systems. The speed is key here. With Mulesoft, customers were able to move quickly to address these use cases because they took a different approach to integration. One which was based on the principles of reuse versus point-to-point or custom code, which is typically how integrations work. So the reality is that the transformations aren't easy. And I'm going to share how these customers did these initiatives and more. But let's start by acknowledging the fact that integration is really hard. And all too often, it is the #1 reason why new initiatives fail. In fact, 85% of digital transformations are slowed down or derailed by integration challenges. So why is it so hard? Now, for starters, most companies are dealing with legacy infrastructure. Data, which is their most important asset, which helps organizations understand what's happening with their customers, what's happening with their partners, what's happening with their employees. That data is siloed into different systems that don't talk to each other. And the pace of change is accelerating due to various factors, such as new regulatory requirements. The complexity is massive and it's compounding, and the need for speed and agility is increasing. So first, let's take a look at the challenges that many organizations are facing today. First, the customer data that you need to deliver new apps and create connected experiences naturally lives in a lot of different systems. For example, your customer data might live in your ERP and CRM system, and every customer journey needs to leverage data across these systems. Now consider this, the average customer interaction crosses 35 different systems and applications in an enterprise. And that means data is siloed or divided into across at least 35 different systems on an enterprise. But this is only one dimension of the problem, and that's for one single customer journey. The second dimension is the sheer number of systems and apps used by organizations today. Many are driven by various lines of business across the company. In fact, Mulesoft's recent benchmark report shows that the average enterprise has data in 900 different systems, and only 1/3 of those 900 are actually connected or integrated to each other. Now take a moment to think about the scale of the problem we are talking about. The reality is that the current traditional approach to integration, which is point-to-point or building on custom code, cannot keep pace with this pace of transformation. Now let's look at the third problem, Traditionally, organizations integrate by writing a lot of custom code. And when you're in a hurry or when resources are tight, the budgets are small, custom code can seem like the easier way or the faster path forward. But in reality, it is exactly the opposite. A custom code is actually a deterrent to speed and agility. And point-to-point integration only results in a mesh of networks. And then once you need to change something, you don't know where to change it. So from my personal experience of being an architect and being a developer in my past life, I can tell you that custom code is brittle. It breaks easily. You have to always go back and fix it. It is also a bottleneck because it is understood by too few people because custom code lacks standardization. Custom code is rigid. It's hard to change. You get stuck and then you can't evolve and then you miss out on the innovation which is delivered to you. Now consider how cloud-first organizations like Salesforce and Mulesoft deliver multiple releases a year on their platform with new and advanced features. If you are stuck with a lot of custom code which you cannot change, or you don't have the people who made them who understand the changes, you are stuck. It is a big barrier to seamless upgrades. And not only does this drive up costs, it slows down time to market and takes a toll on long-term operations, risk, and security. The same goes for trying to fix the problem with tactical tooling. It's not a surprise that IT today spends 80% of its time integrating and not innovating. You need a different approach that lets you go faster, innovate at scale, in a way that's governed but not gated by IT. So businesses across every industry now need a new approach to integration and an approach that turns their data and processes into modern building blocks, which are purpose-built for reuse and consumption across the organization. So let's look at why IT can't keep pace with today's demand. So IT capacity is limited, it's fixed. And even if IT budgets were to increase, you can't hire enough people to do everything you need at the speed and scale that the business and your customers require. The amazing amount of new technology today that is coming out, such as cloud, artificial intelligence, IoT, voice, blockchain, and IT is being asked to learn and absorb all of these new technologies at the same time with the same capacity. And to compound that problem, the ever increasing new business demands from every corner of the business, be it, entering new markets or building apps or evolving existing apps. The result is a widening IT delivery gap. Even the most talented IT teams can't deliver projects quickly enough. IT cannot afford to build every project end to end. So the key question the CIOs and the businesses together must answer is, how do we adopt an approach to innovation and IT delivery that increases our speed and agility as a business and allows us to create integrated, connected experiences which are faster, which are powered by data? And because, as we discussed in the beginning, that's what your customers expect of you. Every single customer's expectation is going up these days. They want connected experience. They want retailers to know who they are. They want to be understood and to be known to the organizations. So we believe that organizations of the future will be composable. And what do I mean by composable? Data, processes, customers, or product experiences, your IP, will all become digital capabilities that are exposed to others and who can securely discover, who can securely access it, reuse it, and compose these assets into new products, services, and capabilities. And in a composable enterprise, there's a standard way to unlock data and connect systems, as opposed to integration being a secondary concern, leaving much more bandwidth for business innovation. In this new composable enterprise, IT becomes the steward of innovation and enabler of transformation versus doing project by project delivery. So to get there, IT needs to embrace a new way of working to close the delivery gap we talked about. And in a composable enterprise, instead of IT focusing on every single project end to end, IT focuses on building reusable assets that are specifically designed for consumption by a broader audience. Not only does this free up precious time and resources, it significantly reduces the complexity for IT to capitalize on new technologies. It also frees up IT bandwidth to respond to the needs of the business to innovate, and more importantly, meets the needs of the end user or the end customer. The key to this new operating model that we are talking about is to emphasize consumption as much as production. So let us take a look on how to create these reusable assets with discovery and composition in mind. So I love Legos, and if you've seen any of my other presentations, I always have something to do with Legos on my presentation. And here I'm going to talk about how we Legofy the business with APIs, right? So APIs are the building blocks that represent a unique business capability. For example, your inventory data could be an API, your order status could be an API, and that can be composed easily into a connected experience. So API-led connectivity and composability allows organizations to go faster and do more than ever before. If various components are wrapped in APIs that can be then easily discovered, they can be understood, they can be consumed, they can be secured, and they enable different teams across the organization to access data and digital capabilities in a way never before possible, while giving their IT the tools to manage and secure them at scale. And this allows organizations to roll out new connected experiences faster, now and in the future. And that's what we call API-led connectivity. So by making it possible to integrate systems and unify data with reusable APIs, we're seeing organizations accelerate the business at the speed of IT and increase organizational agility and deliver innovation at scale. Essentially, by doing this, what you've done is you've Legofied your business with digital building blocks, and the digital building blocks can then be put together and composed into whatever flavor of application the market demands at that point in time. So by emphasizing consumption and self-service, IT fundamentally increases speed, agility, and innovation at scale, all in a future-proof, flexible, and secure way. In this new operating model, IT delivers, secures, manages, and maintains core system-level assets. And by system-level assets, I mean data from your key system of records, like ERPs, like CRMs, like mainframes. And it enables the rest of the organization and the external partners to innovate on top of these core assets. So by composing new products and services or composing new experiences using the existing building blocks, which are produced by IT. Now, this isn't just a future state, it's already happening. And the best apps and experiences today are composed from existing capabilities built with reuse in mind, and they're not built from scratch. So let's take an example here. So as I said, the best apps and companies, and if you look at your favorite apps, they're already on this journey, and they're taking an API-led approach to connectivity and application development. So my favorite retail app, for example, they don't have their own Maps app. They use Google Maps API. Now for payments, they embed third-party payment services API. And for shipment notifications, they use a DPD or Yodel or whichever logistics provider they're using. So the entire experience for me as a customer is composed of existing APIs built for reuse. And these are not APIs built by my retailer. They have used the partner ecosystem, and they have composed the experience for me for a seamless experience as a consumer. So let's take a look at how that approach has helped us in the current situation that we're in with the COVID-19. So API-led connectivity, as I said, is a way to connect data through a series of APIs that are each developed to play a specific role. They unlock data from systems, they unify data into processes, or deliver an experience. And this approach fundamentally changes the definition of integration. It's not about pipes, it's not about, it's all about productizing the underlying data for consumption for specific processes and audiences. The real benefit of this approach is that the APIs themselves become reusable. So while you might invest in unlocking a set of systems with APIs for a specific project, you then have the ability to reuse them across the organization in your future projects. You can also use your existing APIs in microservices versus building from the scratch, resulting in quicker time to value. And this, over time, results in libraries of pre-built integrations and APIs that now exist in the enterprise for any new projects, for any new business units to consume and use. So when a new project comes up, you can first ask, let's see what exists in our current integration and API marketplace, and then search for what third parties can provide. And by plugging into the data and capabilities that have already been unlocked, your time and cost of innovation is significantly lowered, and your speed of delivery is obviously much faster. With this approach, the concept of Legofication, as I said, of business comes to life. And this makes it possible to compose these APIs into building blocks to address the changing needs of business. Now, in the slide here, for example, you could expose a customer data from both SAP and Salesforce as system APIs, and IT could do this because this requires specialist skills. This requires them to understand the underlying structures of Salesforce and SAP. Whereas in the process layer, you're taking the raw data exposed from SAP and Salesforce and you're composing it based on a business logic to give you a customer view and an order status view on top of that customer. And on the experience layer, it could be a web developer or mobile app developer who doesn't have to worry about SAP or Salesforce or the complexities of the underlying data system, because they can consume the order status API to provide the order status to a customer via a mobile app. And they can focus on the innovation that they're good at, the skills that they're good at, which is experience design of an app. And APIs at each layer are obviously, as I said, productized for their respective audiences. So making them easily discoverable and linked to a real business use case. The key here is the marketplace of APIs and integrations that get built up naturally over time as reusable building blocks, which then promote self-service within the organization. Now, the reason to build in layers, have the system, process, and experience, is that each layer of API is productized for a specific audience, like the central IT, the line of business IT, or the end, experience developers. And the life cycle of each APIs are different as well. A system API's life cycle could be years unless someone decides to replace an underlying legacy system or an underlying system of record, whereas the life cycle of an experience API could be weeks or even days. If there's a promotional data source of some sort being exposed on a mobile API, it could last a few days. And then the developers can strip down and build up new experience APIs without having to worry about changing the underlying integration and data sources. Now, taking this approach, we find that our customers move to spending the vast majority of their time on innovation versus maintaining and rebuilding, as it's a lot easier to assemble a building block than it is to rebuild something from the scratch every single time a business requirement changes. And another key benefit of this approach is isolating change to the point of change. So organizations are constantly changing or upgrading their underlying systems and business processes as part of their modernization effort. A major hindrance, obviously, to the change and innovation is downstream impact of the change, as well as testing efforts involved with making those changes. So isolation solves this problem while lowering the costs and mitigating any impact on the end users. So with API-led connectivity, you can redefine businesses, but the question is, how does it help you go faster? So let's take an example that is something very relevant to us today, since we're all living in this COVID-19 world, and talk about a healthcare provider, right? And this is a government agency example that I've taken. And in this example, we will talk about how to unlock and integrate the data and how responding to business needs with speed and agility is achieved. So in this example, a government agency was working to deliver results to clinicians in hours and not days because of the current situation. And before this situation, they started with their first project for healthcare site coordination. So the purpose of that project was to unlock data from their legacy systems, including a number of different homegrown databases, and build the necessary integrations and APIs to deliver it. Now, in the next project, in project 2, was all about providing a single view of the patient. So what they could do was they could use a lot of the APIs they built on project 1, and they layered the newer APIs they needed, like registration API, like status API, like patient notification API, and they layered it on top of their base APIs, which were already unlocked their data from databases and legacy systems, and they delivered project 2. So in a sense, half of the project 2 was reused. Now, when project 3 came along with the recent COVID-19 test ramping exercises, which was extremely time critical, they were able to use all 10 of their APIs from the prior projects and were able to accelerate the speed at which they delivered new innovation in support of that business requirement and their community, which needed it, 3 times faster, and in turn increase their productivity by 60%. And in this case, contact tracing was a very important program. And being able to reuse something and not having to build all of that in terms of unlocking data and connecting to data was a huge accelerator in the results that they achieved. In taking this approach, obviously, the agency chose not to connect directly to core systems with brittle and custom code and connect point to point that cannot be reused. Instead, they started building projects with reusable building blocks approach and increasing their speed and agility and efficiency to deliver when the actual crisis hit. So talking of that example, and also as we've been talking with a lot of our customers, we've learned that when you build in this way with this approach in mind of a productized API as a digital capability, you get value immediately. And then you gain even more value over time in the ability to respond quickly to the needs of your business with less investment. Now, our customers are taking a structured approach to integration. And so each build, each investment turns data, process, and IP into digital capabilities that can be then secured, exposed, and reused by design, and allowing others in the organization to compose these pre-built digital assets into new products, services, and experiences. And that's what we call, as I said, a composable API, a company which is comprised of digital building blocks that are discoverable, that are reusable, that are actionable, and where you have a standard way to connect systems and unlock data. And in this way, IT is a steward of innovation that can deliver on business priorities, not in 1 to 2 years, like traditional projects, but in way lesser time, sometimes 6 months, sometimes weeks, depends what they're doing. And this approach allows you to show to your teams and your business partners that data can constantly be moving and used in different apps while staying where it is, whether it's on-prem or whether it's in cloud or whether it's in hybrid. You can expose data and consume it anywhere, and allowing different teams to leverage the same data more quickly without having to wait or burden the IT teams. And in this new approach, we found that we could deliver pretty much 60% faster because of the pluggable, reusable nature of the building blocks. We could run more efficiently, so we could get more done in a lot less time, and with clicks and not code. In Mulesoft, so we are really heavily focusing on the citizen integrator or citizen developer concepts now, and dramatically lower costs. Reuse and self-service frees up more time for innovation. So we've talked about unlocking and integrating data to deliver today's critical time-sensitive projects. Now let's talk about that third theme, which is making the right investments to enable success and growth. So Mulesoft, as you know, is the #1 integration platform right now in, as an API platform. And Mulesoft's Anypoint platform right now helps you do 3 key things. One is unlock, unify, and secure your data. So wherever it resides, wherever it's on-prem, cloud, hybrid. And this is to deliver on critical time-sensitive projects. It ensures that the business continuity, and it ensures business continuity using discoverable, reusable APIs and integrations, and transform to handle unprecedented change and unpredictable needs by increasing the speed and agility with a global marketplace of pre-built APIs and integrations. So I said something key here. I mentioned a global marketplace of pre-built APIs and integrations. Let's dig into that last point a little bit more. So Mulesoft has an exchange functionality. And this is where you can access pre-built integrations to common systems like SAP connectors, IBM, Amazon S3, and accelerators for some of the industries like healthcare and financial services. Of course, Salesforce accelerators that help you integrate to different Salesforce clouds almost 3 times faster. As our marketplace of reusable assets continues to grow, our community benefits, and you save time, money, resources, building on the best practices of pre-built templates. Our ecosystem of partners is able to share and distribute their best practices and provide connectivity to their systems and apps, all from one single marketplace, which is Exchange. So we have a public exchange and the ability to create your own private exchange, which is a private marketplace for an organization as well. So by packaging and publishing APIs and integration assets into a marketplace, so they are easy to find and easy to use, with security and compliance standards enforced every step of the way, anyone across the organization, from app developers to line of business IT, can start to self-serve and consume these approved assets to deliver their own projects. It's simply easier and faster now for anyone across the organization or anyone in your partner ecosystem, for example, to securely create connected experiences, products, or services by composing from this marketplace rather than building everything from the scratch. So let's look at the technology which makes all of this possible. So Anypoint platform, briefly, has 5 major components. Mule runtime, engine and services. Now this is the foundation, the core of our platform. It is easily configured, it's performant, and it's deployable anywhere. The design center, we have comprehensive tools in the design center to help you develop APIs and integrations much faster and easier in a visual manner. Exchange, the marketplace that I was talking about, this is like the heart of Mulesoft. This marketplace is for connectors, templates, best practices, APIs. They promote discoverability. You could discover and use pre-built assets from the Mulesoft ecosystem, or you could use Exchange to save, share, and reuse your own assets, either within the organization or externally to partners or a wider ecosystem as well. And it's a great place to reuse internal best practices and publish templates. Then we have the management center. Now, this is almost like having a single pane of glass where you can manage and monitor everything that you have across the platform. And you can actually get graphs and analytics across what's happening with your platform. This is where you understand what's going on. Security, one of the sticking points and key aspects of any integration program or any connected experience is security. And in Mulesoft, security is enforced throughout everything we do. So we provide layers of protection to ensure data is safeguarded at all times in different methods. And now we understand that this is technology, and technology is technology, right? Everyone has an intention to do the right thing. And having a strategy, having an intention, and executing on that strategy are three very different things. And that's why when you choose Mulesoft, we go beyond just equipping you with the industry-leading technology. So Mulesoft Catalyst is where we've captured organizational and operational best practices, and where this is the place where you gain clarity on where to get started with your integration and API journey, how to enable your teams to be successful, the areas that you should invest in as you scale. It's our proven approach to customer success. And all of this IP that we have collated is available through our Knowledge Hub as tutorials, templates, or other self-service resources. And we also offer industry and application-specific API designs and reference architectures for retail, banking, healthcare, etc., as well as obviously Salesforce services, Commerce Clouds. Together, our proven technology approach and the methodology as in Mulesoft Catalyst creates a unique benefit for you to understand the process, use the best practices, led with the technology capability that the platform provides to you. And talking about Salesforce and Mulesoft together, obviously Mulesoft completes the Salesforce Customer 360 platform vision. It enables customers' digital transformation through integration. Mulesoft unlocks data across any application, data source or device, and brings that data into the Customer 360 platform, or for that matter, any other platform that you're trying to get a view from different systems to deliver a truly connected, relevant, and personalized customer experience. And together, Mulesoft and Salesforce enable customers to unlock data across legacy systems, cloud apps, devices to make it smarter, make faster decisions, create highly differentiated and connected experiences. And integration was the missing link to this whole digital transformation. And now with Mulesoft and Salesforce, we can truly connect experience for your customers, with all the Salesforce clouds, with all the platform capabilities available, and with the API-led approach. It becomes much easier to deliver that consolidated view. Ultimately, when you build in the way that we've talked about, using the API-led approach, which reusable building blocks, you make your data and business capabilities digital. They are accessible, they are plug and play across apps and projects, and we create an application network as a result of that. And you get there one project at a time. It's not a big bang, it's very small approaches. You build one project, you get a few APIs, you build the next one, you reuse some, you build some news, and then the application network keeps growing. And at a point where you really start seeing the value of reusability in your organization. And in building this way, you get three things out of an application network, which is the network effect. Each project, each building block adds exponentially increasing value and better positions you to move more quickly for the next program. You can start achieving this, as I said, one project at a time versus having to do it all big bang. Security and scale, very important topics in the digital transformation world. It is far easier to secure a standard API than it is to secure a custom API. Each building block, each node of application network is secured by design. It is ready for self-service and discoverability by placing it onto Exchange. And then obviously the speed and agility factor. So with each project, you go faster, increasing your speed of delivery, your velocity of change, and the innovation you can deliver for your business. And with that, I would like to say thank you very much for listening to me about API-led approach today. And I would be very happy to answer any questions you might have.
First of all, thank you so much, Emily, for great information. So would you like to read the question from the chat window, or you want me to read?
I think I can read the question. Okay, just have to scroll up, bear with me.
So guys, if you have a question, feel free to add into the chat window. I can see like 200 plus participation are still there. So please feel free to post your question in the chat window.
So the first question is from Sampati Kumar, and it says, as a Salesforce developer, how can we implement Mulesoft parallelly? It is kind of same. I'm not sure what you mean, but if you mean, can we start a program developing Mulesoft and Salesforce parallelly? Yes. And the reason I say yes is, most likely, if you're looking at Salesforce and Mulesoft implementation parallelly, means Mulesoft has to connect Salesforce to something else. Means that first layer of integration, the system layer, has to be built. And that means the work can start. And you can start unlocking from whichever system you're trying to unlock that data, whether it's SAP, whether it's mainframes, whether it's Oracle databases. So there is no reason why it can't go parallelly. Obviously, it depends on where the program is and what the specific situation is. Hopefully that answers your question. How does Mule help with GDPR and CCPA compliances? Yeah, great question. So Mule has a number of mechanisms, and I'm not going to go into details, we won't have enough time, to secure data at different layers, to secure visibility, to check for permissions, etc., at different layers, at different points of contact. So Mule by out of the box will not make you GDPR compliant, but it has all the capabilities you need to implement GDPR compliance or CCPA compliance. And that's why having security in different forms and different layers, having the capability to host your data anywhere, in some countries, data compliance forces an on-prem or a hybrid implementation where the data center has to be in the country. And Mulesoft supports all of those deployment models. So you're not stuck with cloud. First of all, you have flexibility to decide your infrastructure deployment architecture, and you have all the capabilities in terms of security layering to make your applications GDPR compliant. Hopefully that answers what you were looking for. Okay, I'm just going to scroll to the what are the key features? So this is from Hari Krishna. What are the key features that can help to implement MuleSoft over Dell Boomi? Wow, that's a big one. Okay, we've got a whole competitive slide deck on the Boomi versus MuleSoft, so I cannot go into that right now. I'm sorry, but what I can say is, if you look at the Gartner quadrant, no other integration platform is a leader in both iPaaS quadrant and the network integration quadrant. So yeah, we're clearly the leaders. Also, MuleSoft is the only platform which offers a full life cycle of API management. So, design center, API management capabilities, gateway capabilities, obviously runtime deployment capabilities. So, but it is a big topic. It is pretty much not possible to address it in 2 minutes right now. But I encourage you to go to our website and have a look at the data that we have comparing features between MuleSoft and Dell Boomi, and hopefully that will provide you more details. Okay, looking for the next question. While leveraging from earlier projects is great to know, due to changing business conditions, some of the earlier APIs like system API may need to change themselves. How does that work? Yeah, that's a great question, Chandrasekhar. So that's the whole idea of composability. When you build in layers, we're assuming you're using the system APIs to just unlock data from your underlying system, while the business logic sits in the process layer. So if you're going to change your underlying system of record, then you could just change your system API without having to touch your business logic on the process layer and without having to touch your experience layer as well. Now, if it's the other way around, if your business logic changes, but your underlying system of record doesn't, that means your system API remains the same. And where you go and make a tweak is the process layer and the process API. But because there's a separation of concern, you're only changing one point at a time. So either the process layer or the experience layer or the business or the system layer, rather than having to impact assess a change on all of the three layers and having to do changes at the lowest level of code. Okay, so the next question from Gopala Krishnan is, how does Mule help with monitoring APIs? With monitoring of APIs, it integrates, okay, something that gives me metrics on. This is our management platform. So this is API monitoring tools, which are inbuilt in Mule. So there's, as I was talking about, hopefully, I think this question came before I came onto the platform piece is, yeah, the management center gives you the capabilities of, thinking metrics of how many times has the API been reused in other applications, what's the rate at which this API is performing, what's the throttle, how has the performance been, what does my reusability metrics look like? And it is the businesses right now use a lot of those metrics to actually decide which are their most valuable APIs. And in a more advanced concept, there's a concept of API monetization. And these kind of metrics help with businesses thinking, can I monetize my API? And monetization could be external or internal. But yeah, this capability is it's a standard part of the platform. Okay. I think, some people have already answered it. So thank you for that. So how is Mulesoft planning to compete with WSO2? I am not in a position to answer that, Amy. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is competitive information and I can't share it over a webinar. What is the best way to learn Mulesoft as a Salesforce developer? Great question. I think Mulesoft has some fantastic training materials out there. The first one that you'll need to do, which is the Mule Fundamentals course, is free if you're doing it self-paced. So if you go to training.mulesoft.com, you can find the course out there. You can download the material. It has good hands-on stuff, and it will give you a good understanding of the platform and the basics of the platform. So I think start there. There's some great trails to if you just want to understand the concept of API-led and Mulesoft integrations on Trailhead. There's an integration trailblazer trail, I think, which is fantastic as if you're a Salesforce developer looking to get into Mulesoft. Okay, just started on Mulesoft. Does this program include enablement guidance to explore Mulesoft with hands-on experience? I'm not sure about this question, but as I said, if you go to training.mulesoft.com, you can find out about relevant certification routes and courses associated to get those certifications. So as a Salesforce Marketing Cloud consultant, I'm more curious to know SFMC integration with other systems. Do you have any specific guide for the same? Yes, so go and explore the Mulesoft accelerators for Salesforce page on Salesforce. And this gives you some pre-built connectors, integrations, connecting to Marketing Cloud, and also gives you accelerators in terms of templates and pre-built best practices to use Marketing Cloud with Mulesoft. So that should give you a pretty good start without having to go to the, start building from the scratch. So what about transformation from a legacy point-to-point system? In general, how big is that effort? And this question is from Sayanta. A legacy point-to-point system, when you say how big is that effort, I do not recommend a big bang in any case. So if you can unlock one system at a time, one integration at a time into an API-led, reusable block concept, it's a good start. And then how you do it, obviously depends on what is the need for driving this transformation, what are the kind of budget constraints, how fast does the organization want to go? Typically, we've seen that organizations do this legacy point-to-point modernization as part of different projects. And depending on which systems they're going to touch as part of a new program, they start reimagining their integrations as API-led, as digital blocks, and then build based on those concepts of reusability, rather than just going and changing all the point-to-points that they have at a time, because that's going to be a disaster, obviously, because it's too complex. This also gives the organizations a runway to run with without having to think about a huge investment or a huge program. And big programs are always risky. So I would suggest, as an architect, always go, start with an MVP and do the minimum integrations that you have to, and convert them into API-led from time to time. And then, you'll see the point-to-point coming down on one side, and you'll see your network effect of APIs going up on the other side with every project.